Hi, welcome to another episode of What's Up Irvine. I'm Curtis Drever, your host, and this podcast is about everything that makes Irvine such a great city. Its people, its culture, its influence, and its opportunities. My hope is that by following us, you'll learn something new and interesting about our city and feel more connected to our community. So today in our studio, we have a guest, Reza Safa. And Reza, you have so many things, but we're going to focus on your art today, your artistic ability. But welcome to the show. Welcome to What's Up Irvine. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Before I really get into the interview, I'd like to read a little bit to our viewers and followers about just a little bit your background. So I'll jump into that right now, and then we'll come back and talk.
Okay.
Reza Safa was born and raised in Tehran, Iran. He left Iran right after high school and attended college in Houston, Texas, where he grew up in an artsy family. His father was a poet and an author, so he began painting and Persian calligraphy at an early age. Reza attended a school in calligraphy where little by little he expanded his art into sculpting, woodworking, stained glass, and has evolved into an incredible style called Impressionism. I want to add that Reza is also an accomplished author and is founder and host of Nejat TV. His Farsi Persian television program aired on TBN. Through this program, possibly millions of Muslims have declared their faith in Jesus Christ. So Reza, that was a lot. So it's pretty amazing. So the more I've gotten to know you over the years, I just find you're an amazing guy and you're so talented and you're using all these gifts. So we're only going to focus on the one, which is your art, your artistic skills. But, growing up, and let's kind of jump back to what made you kind of who you are today. Mm-hmm. And growing up, it said you were there till high school age or right after. What was it like growing up in Iran?
Well, first off, it's good to be here. Thank you for having me. And Iran was, I grew up in a large family. There were 9 of us, kids, 6 sisters and 2 brothers. And I was the little guy, the little brother, and everybody loved me. My sister, they adored me. And so my mom and sister, they really spoiled me. And so my dad was like you said, he was a poet and a writer and a very religious man.
Okay. So
he kind of forced me into believing and practicing the Islamic Sharia law, praying 5 times a day as far back as I can remember. I think I was 5 or 6 years old when I started praying 5 times a day in Arabic. I had to learn the prayer because we don't speak Arabic. And then I fasted 30 days. As a little kid, I fasted, as long as the sun was up. As a Muslim, you're not allowed to eat or drink. And so I was a very devout Muslim. And so we were a close family, very tight family, fun family. My dad, because being a poet, he had a lot of artist friends, musicians and so on, that they would come over to our house.
All the creative types.
Yeah,
right?
And there would be parties, they sit there and read his poetry and on and on and on. So, yeah, it was a fun time.
Yeah, well, that's a big part of growing up in Iran is what that, the family, the tightness of the family, and just the, faith is super, important to a lot of cultures. So, what was your mom or dad? I guess you had a large family. Well, 6 sisters. That must have been crazy, right? But you were the youngest, so they all loved you and adored you. So you got taken care of all the time. People fed you.
They really did.
So, your mom or dad, what was the best lesson one of them taught you?
My mom loved me so much, built in me an incredible confidence that I could do whatever I put my hand to. And my dad was a hardworking man. He wanted me to work from early age, and I refused, of course.
Of course.
He was by trade, he was a fabric owner. He had a store in the bazaar, the marketplace. And he oftentimes complained why I don't go and help him. So he wanted me to work and follow his trade, which I didn't like it and didn't want to do it. So, but he put me early age, I think I was 9 years old, 8 or 9, into a calligraphy class. one of his friend was a master calligraphy, and calligraphy is a big art in Iran.
Okay.
And so he put me in that class, and I studied for, I think it was 2 years class, 2 or 3 years. And that was the beginning of my getting involved with art, and got involved with a lot of art, art branches, into theater, filmmaking, so on and so forth. So, yeah, that's how you all started.
That really helped form your life. So even though he was a poet, he had a mechanic or like an industrial company or job?
No, he had a fabric store.
Fabric. Oh, fabric. I thought it was like fabrication.
No, fabric store.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. So that wasn't for you. That's okay. You made that like, no.
Now, I like to wear clothes. I don't like to sell.
Yeah, that's for somebody else. But so you kind of figured out what you wanted and started liking at a pretty young age.
From very early age, I just loved theater and movie making, and of course I did painting, sculpting, and I just had this thing inside of me. I remember I lived in Spain for a while, for 2 years. Okay. Started a church in Spain, and one day I was outside and seeing a guy doing caricature.
Okay.
And something on the inside of me said, "You can do the same." So I went home, grabbed a picture, and did my first caricature
of
just a picture.
Just a picture. Okay.
Yeah, and then from then on, I did caricature. So, it's all God's grace and God's gift, and we all have it. It's just that when you discover it from an early age, then you can develop it. And so I think that's why I have this philosophy that kids should be exposed to every sort of art and music, so that they figure out what God has put in them from early age, that they can develop it.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
Well, you've done a lot and mentioned a lot of things right there. So what would you say is a pivotal moment or period of your life that really changed your direction?
It was when I went to Sweden.
So what age were you at?
I was, in 1978, I was about 17, 18. I came to America for study. And after a year and a half, I was disillusioned with lifestyle here. Okay. Because I was so devout Muslim. I couldn't handle all that stuff that I saw in that city, Houston.
Okay, so you were in Houston for a couple of years for school.
Yeah,
and then...
actually I was in Houston, then went to New Orleans, lived there for a while, went to another college there. And so I couldn't handle that lifestyle, so I moved back to Iran. This is right after the revolution, and I want to get involved with that Islamic revolution. But when I came to Iran, the life was so chaotic. Wow. Everybody was against everybody. There were so many divisions, and there's so many parties, and it was just crazy, and I couldn't handle it. And I said to my mother, I said, I have to leave this country, and I don't think ever again I will come back.
Wow, so that was like in the 80s, early 80s
that was
or something? Yeah.
Early 80s, 1980, actually. Yeah. I left Iran, and this time I went to Sweden, because at that time they had taken over hostages in the embassy.
Oh, right. I remember that period.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
And President Carter had canceled all the Iranian visas, so I couldn't come back and continue my studies. So I went to Sweden to see a friend, and there I met 2 missionaries that were working among, foreigners, Muslims. And after 6 months of hearing the gospel, I gave my heart to the Lord. So wow. that was a pivotal point in my life that things had started to change. In the beginning, things were just awful because my family disowned me. My father, he said, if you were here, I would have killed you with my own hands. And so I was cut off from all my sisters, all that love, all that. So it was a period of time of rejection, really, from my life.
Yeah.
Went through a hard time the first few years.
Can't imagine.
It was tough. Years of loneliness and rejection. But God was, forming me, and then 3 years after my conversion, I went to Spain to start a church among the refugees, and that was the beginning of my full-time ministry.
Okay, so you were doing parallel things too. You started the ministry, but you're doing art and caricatures, and developing. The
art was on the side for paying the bills, and but really the calling was the getting the gospel to the Muslims all around the world.
Because I didn't mention that too. You do so many things. We're focusing just on your artistic ability, but you're a songwriter and a musician, and you're an author, and obviously you're a pastor and a whole bunch of other things too. So, but let's focus on your art too.
Like, not too much.
Yeah, no, yeah, you do a lot. That's what I'm saying. The more I know about you, it's like, how do you do everything? My gosh, and then some other things on the side. So, but let's talk more about your art. How did that evolve in like the style you started learning and evolving to the Impressionism style that you use today? Maybe share some of that.
I think everything we have is from God. God is, look at the nature. There's no greater artist than God himself. And the key is to understand what he has put in us. The problem we have is we look at too many people and want to duplicate them. And I did that in the beginning, and I'm guilty of it too. But the more I grew in the spirit, the more I realized there are things in my spirit that God has put in there that nobody else has them.
Okay.
For instance, for about 15 years ago, I had this desire working with light and various form of glass.
Okay.
That didn't exist. Plexiglass didn't exist in that time when I had this in my spirit. And I searched all over the world for what I saw in my spirit, in my heart. And I couldn't find it. And after 10 years of searching, I finally found a sort of glass, dichroic it's called, dichroic. And with that, I'm making paintings and light. So I had that in my heart. God put it in there. And when I researched it, there's only one other person on the planet that does what I'm doing with the light and glass. And so I believe that, we have it in us, because I couldn't find it. So I went and took some hot glass, what is it called? Hot blowing glass?
Glass blowers?
Glass blowing class, because I saw some of that light in that.
Okay.
But it wasn't completely there. So I left that and kept searching. So I think God has put in all of us. Look at our fingerprints. They're all different, one from another. And so each one of us have something that is different than the other. If we develop that, that's something that the world needs, and it feeds the world, feeds people.
Yeah.
And so I believe if we follow that, and expand on it and train ourselves to it, it'll be something that unique that nobody else has.
Well, you're certainly passionate, and you're definitely committed. You spent 10 years looking for something you saw in your mind, or your heart, and your spirit. So that's that. I'm going to be excited to have you share some of your art here in just a moment here. But what's the most difficult thing about being an artist?
I think the challenge is that these days everybody is an artist. Everybody gets a palette and throw paints on it, blow paints and all kinds of stuff.
Paint by AI,
abstract paint they call it. And the challenge is because you know what you've got and you want to make it known to the world. The challenge is to make this available for the people to see it. But there's so many noise all around. You feel like you're a pea in a huge pot.
Yeah.
And to come and shine, God can do that, but it takes a lot of energy and effort and patience to get there. And I think that's the challenging part.
Yeah, I guess in any industry, whether it's painting or sports or music, there's you wonder, how do certain people make it and others don't? A lot of the ones that don't seem like they have incredible skills and things like that, right? And it makes it difficult. You're like,
we got a famous artist, Pollock, and he would grab the paint bucket and just pour it over the canvas. And somebody saw it in New York City that we want to make this guy known. And before you know it, his paintings are selling for $200 million.
Oh, I know. I've seen him. Is that the same guy that throws things against, like you just...
Well, he passed away, but his critics would say, your floor, the paint on the floor that comes off your cans of paint, look the same as your painting. So what's the difference?
Yeah.
So I guess art is a relative term.
Very relative.
Yeah. And so, like I said, the challenge is to be at the right time, right place, and for right people to recognize that gift that God has given you.
It's just sometimes that's what it is. Yeah.
Also, within our community of Christians, art is not exalted because for so many years, wrong teachings about art caused the church to be separated from the art world. And I think that's part of also the challenge as a minister, as a pastor. There's certain things I cannot paint because I know I will be rejected by people.
Right.
And but at the same time, it's something that God has given you and for the good of the world.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're using it. You are definitely using it. So, the other side of the coin, what do you like most about painting and being an artist?
Dealing with Iranians and the church and so many people all around the world with our ministry, it's so burdensome in a sense because you carry these on a daily basis, so many communications and texts and messages from people that are in trouble. And so when I start painting, all that fades away. It's like that's the only time I put my burden on Jesus, and I say, you carry it now. And so that's a good part of
therapy
painting.
For you.
It really is.
Yeah.
It's tremendous. Once I get into get that brush and that color, trying to mix the colors and get the color, everything goes away.
I know. Just today you were telling me you were down in Laguna and you were painting a large sailboat scene, right? And that's
it's this morning I got up and I had so many things in my mind. The moment I got that brush and the paint started mixing, the whole thing went away. And that's the good part.
Yeah.
I guess part of it is that the Lord is naturally helping me to kind of, like he did with the disciple. Let's go away. And so it's go away time. Yeah.
That's a good way.
Yeah.
Well, let's. I have a few more questions, but I want to take a minute here. If we can grab one of your pieces here. There's. Do you want to hand it to him? We're doing things different in the studio today, so I don't know if you can see that.
Here's one piece, which is a Laguna Beach.
Laguna Beach.
Yeah, I actually. Right there's a spot in Laguna Beach.
You want me to hold it?
That's good.
Like that?
So there's a spot here in Laguna Beach that I usually go and paint, and so I painted that from that spot.
Is that like Las Brisas on one side? Or,
yes.
Yeah. And then
the Mexican restaurant there.
That's like Main Beach.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So.
Okay.
That's one piece, and then we have
this next one. I know is going to be popular for a lot of people in Southern California. Yeah. Thanks. Well, why don't we just do that?
This is Kershaw. I don't know if he's.
Can you see that?
Does he still play?
Push it towards me a little bit more, like right there. I know we can't see you. Kershaw still is with the Dodgers.
Okay.
Yes.
I think he
renewed
his contract one more year or two or so.
So he's. And so that to me, that's even up close. That's pretty amazing. And can you see that? Yeah. So for those of you who are listening, obviously you can't see that, so you'll have to go and watch the YouTube video to see this. This is incredible painting of Kershaw, the pitcher for the LA Dodgers, and one of many professional sports figures that Reza has painted. So tell us, I know it may be hard for you to do that with that, but tell us a little bit about the style, though.
This is Impressionism.
Yeah.
And Impressionism, the old Impressionists like Van Gogh and Monet. Some of Monet was on a brighter side, but the old Impressionists, they used a lot of dark colors.
Right.
And today we have set of new colors that didn't exist at that time, like neon colors that we have today didn't exist then. And so I do use that in my painting.
Really brighten things up
with acrylic, and so it's kind of a new Impressionism. I don't know. Someday somebody is going to put a name to it.
A new name. Maybe you should come up with a new name, and then somebody will.
I call it light Impressionism, but like I said, it's Impressionism. If you study, you'll see like that painting of Kershaw's bunch of lines, and people are amazed when they come up close to the painting. Say, "Wow,
Yeah.
that looks different from distance."
Yeah.
From a distance, if you stand, like 10 yards or so away from the painting, the painting comes to focus.
Yeah.
But from the up front, it doesn't.
And I've seen some of your work. What's the largest that you've done size-wise, physically?
I did the number 12 in Augusta. That's the largest painting I've done, and that's the most expensive painting.
Whole number 12 for those who
Whole
might
number
not.
12.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the U.S. Open or the net.
No,
right?
it's
Masters.
Masters.
Masters. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Masters.
Augusta
Hole 12
Golf Club. Yeah.
So then how big again? About
Oh, that's
size?
about, I think it's 58 or 60 by
Feet.
inches.
Inches. Good. I
Yeah.
was like, I thought you were like painting like the side of a building for a moment. Okay, good.
No, I mean, I've been wanting to do some mural,
Okay. Well, maybe we can
And-
do that in Irvine somewhere. I'm sure they'd
Absolutely.
like it. So, a couple other things then. So, what I got to know you years ago when you're part of I call it the fabric of Irvine society, Irvine culture here, and you have your paintings and your music. But actually, before I forget, our viewers and listeners need to go check this out. You have to see it. It's safasart.com, right? You have a list of some of you can
Some of
click
the
on it
paintings.
and all your paintings there. There's some incredible artwork there. I've seen it, and from people to sports figures to scenery to all kinds of things there. You just go to it and just check out the artwork, and then you also have
Actually, the Instagram page, I post more on Instagram page
Okay.
Than website, and that is, which is @Safa's Paintings.
Safa's paintings.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Safa's.
then,
Okay.
And then the music section that I'm just finishing an album, and this is classical pieces with flamenco guitar, and that's called safasmusic.com.
Safa's music. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
there's two pieces of you: the
Yeah.
art and the music. There. So, actually, so those listening or following us, how can we, our viewers and listeners, help you?
buy the paintings.
There you go. Okay. Or the music, I guess, too.
The music as well.
Maybe more of the paintings.
Well, yeah, the music is going to go online, and so they can listen to it on Spotify or Apple Music and so on. So,
A couple other things, too. I know you're Persian, but do you have a go-to food or dish that you like? Favorite food?
kebab is I guess, the most traditional dish. Persian
No,
dish.
what is that your go-to still, pretty much? You can say hamburgers.
Kind
I
of
don't know.
yes and no. I mean, I like all kind of, because I've lived so many places around the world. So I like Italian. I like
Okay.
Italian food. But I try to stay away from pasta as much as I can. But
Yeah, those
Persian-
carbs.
Yeah, carbs, exactly.
So, and then I know you do so much already, but when you have spare time, other things, what else? You have some other hobbies or?
I've been also in sport ever since I was a kid. Played soccer for many years, and I used to play tennis till I was introduced to pickleball.
Pickleball.
Yeah.
Okay, you and millions and millions of others.
Yeah.
So, okay.
And it's a very addictive game, actually. And so it's very challenging. And now I play pickleball
How many times a week?
probably 3-4 times
Three,
a
four
week.
times a week.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
you're smiling, so you're kind of competitive, I bet.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean,
yeah.
I started pickleball a month ago, and now they put me in the intermediate advanced classes.
Okay.
So I'm enjoying it.
Okay.
I love it.
That's okay.
And, it's a great exercise because you move so fast and so much. Whereas tennis, you just stand back there and hitting the balls, and so it's
Yeah, mostly. Sometimes the tennis players move a lot too.
Yeah.
It just depends who you're playing against.
Exactly.
There, but so, well, kind of as a takeaway, then, what else would you? Maybe a fun fact or something that you would like our listeners or followers to know about you.
Well, one thing I would, you ask about what we need a space for our services for Persian group that we have.
Okay.
So if there's a church out there that's listening to us and they have a room that they could rent us,
Okay. So if someone has like a multi-purpose room or
Yeah.
some kind of
Yeah.
big enough warehouse space or
that'd be awesome.
something like that.
So we would love to do that, because right now we're meeting at a park every week,
Somewhere in Irvine, I
that-
believe, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
and it's challenging right now because the weather sometimes doesn't.
It's good most of the
Cooperate.
year, but this year not so
Yeah,
much.
not
It's
this
been
year,
really
no.
challenging there.
Exactly.
So, well, Reza, thank you so much for sharing some of your life story, and your talents and skills. And I'm amazed. And I was telling you this, like, I don't know how it's going to happen. I'm going to figure out how to like put on an art show for you or something, because I think what you've done there, I think people can just appreciate. You're trying to expose it, like you said. Everyone should get exposed to art as much as possible. So a lot
Yeah.
of times they just don't have the venue. It's too complicated for people to go see. But anyways, I'm food for thought. We'll talk
Be
about
great.
that again. So thank you again for being a
Most
guest
welcome.
on What's Up Irvine, and thank you for being our guest on What's Up Irvine. And if you like today's episode, or for a future episode, if you could email us with any other guests or topics that you think are interesting, we'll definitely look at that. Send us an email at info@loveirvine.org, info@loveirvine.org. And thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you again soon.